Hi everyone. So week two's discussion board is based on informed consent, specifically three questions, the first of which is what is informed consent? So informed consent is necessary when we are requesting information or providing services as social workers. So informed consent is when a client knows what is going on in regards to their information, how it's being used, and can determine intelligently if they want their information given out. So there are 10 specific conditions that the text goes into that are necessary for informed consent to be considered truly informed. I won't go into those here just to keep it short and sweet, but definitely go over those because informed consent is a very involved and thorough process. The goal is for the client to understand all risks and possible outcomes of treatment and how their information is being used and who it's being given to. The next question within our discussion board is why is informed consent important, especially for social workers? So informed consent really does put the client back in control, and as social workers, that's really important because that puts us back in the ballpark of sticking to client self-determination and their right to that. So with informed consent, we are, putting all that information out there, letting them know how things are going to be used, and allowing them to make that choice, really us just being a facilitator of their desires and trajectory in life. Also, as a social worker, it is upon us to let our clients know our credentials. And that is a part of informed consent as well. So really kind of giving a client the ability to evaluate us and, figure out if they really want us as workers to have that information based on our credentials and background and history. So that is why informed consent is so important, especially for social workers, and is part of forming that working agreement upon being introduced to a client. And finally, what are the challenges of informed consent? So I have noted three separate challenges, one being competency. And what I mean by that is there are many people that we work with as social workers that may not be fully competent in many different ways. And so assessing that, making sure the appropriate people are there as supports or as additional signatures if necessary, but also always addressing the client directly and ensuring that they still have that control, that right to self-determination. So that can be a big thing with informed consent because it's hard to realize how much is being how much your client is really comprehending. So that can be a difficulty. Next, I would say the extra paperwork. I think oftentimes social workers really hate that we have to do things over and over, or this form and that form, just to get little things done. But informed consent is an especially important place where we use extra paperwork. Our textbook notates that, we don't just have a client sign a blank consent form for where we want to receive our information. We individually go in and have those signed. And that's just so that, again, the client is fully aware of where information is being sent and who is requesting it, and they still have that full power over their information. So that's really important as social workers that we are respectful of that. And then finally, with electronic communication, our text points out a really great example that is, sometimes it is easier to explain something face to face or in a conversation dialogue rather than over email or some form of electronic communication. So when we are limited to services being provided through electronic communication that is in a written format rather than a dialogue, or when we're not able to see and interact, that we make sure we really are making the clients aware that that can be a deficit to the services that are being provided to them. So again, they can be fully informed and make that decision as to if they want to proceed. So anyway, that is my overview of informed consent. And thank you guys so much.